Hello, everyone. I am Morgonn McMichael. I am one of our Turning Point USA contributors, and I have the honor of introducing one of my friends, New York Times bestselling author and North Korean defector, Yeonmi Park.
Darkest place in the world, North Korea, is unimaginable. I'm fighting for America because there are so many people they want to destroy.
This country stands up for freedom.
I hope you can join me to fight for America. Thank you so much.
This is Yeonmi Park, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. I was going to say I might be the first North Korean ever been to San Antonio, Texas.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys haven't heard Yeonmi's story, you guys are in for a treat. I know I've been brought to tears multiple times hearing your story. So let's just get right started. Yeonmi, can you just tell us what was the moment that made you decide that you needed to escape North Korea, and how was that journey for you?
Oh, escape was not even a word in my dictionary. So like in North Korea, we don't have a lot of words, like words for, like freedom, human rights, or revolution, because government simply does not want us to know what that is. So escape was not a word, but it just was a survivor instinct. I was starving, and hunger means death in North Korea. That's the main cause why people die there. So when I was starving, I looked at across the river from my town, China, and there were lights. So I thought maybe where their lights are, they could have bought a rice for me, and that led me to escape. But it was not planning, actually. Yeah.
Once you got to China, what was your life like there?
Oh, I was bought as a sex slave. So they sold my mother for over $60, and they sold me over $20. And I was 13 years old at the time, and I was like a half size of my mom. So I asked these people who were selling me, like, why am I more expensive than my mom? I still remember he did not even flinch his face. This adult man who was like maybe in his 50s told me, oh, you're way more valuable than your mom because a lot of men in China would love to take child virginity away. And that's why we are more expensive. So I was separated from her and sold separately in China.
In your journey of going from North Korea to China to eventually coming to America, what was the biggest challenge that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, you mean coming to America? There are no challenges. I mean, come on, in America. I cannot understand why people complain about a lot of stuff here, but literally, thank you. I mean, look around. Like, this is a paradise. So, thank you. When North Korean defectors cross that frozen river or Gobi Desert, our journey to safety and eventually to freedom, we say we crossed the border to heaven. And when I came here, so many American people chanting death to America because this is the hell. I was like, are you a psychopath? Like, are you being serious right now? Thank you. Like, get out of this border and get out of this country and see yourself. This is truly a heaven on earth. And we're living in that.
When you were living in North Korea as a child, what was the rhetoric being told to you guys about America at the time? Did you think of America as that paradise as a child, or did that come later?
This is so surreal to me right now, looking at you this lovely. I had to call you American bastard every single day. You guys are the loveliest bastards in the whole world. Thank you. But in North Korea as a child, we don't have internet, we don't have independent media. Only picture I saw of American was a school posters. that showed that like Americans are cold-blooded reptiles, were monsters, not even human beings. So I thought Americans was that. I never knew you guys were this lovely. So now I'm like American myself. So North Koreans would call me a bastard now.
You went to Columbia University. I know this year we've seen a lot of protests happening at Columbia, other Ivy League schools. You speak at other schools. What was your thought when you came to America and you saw Americans wanting death to America and they're promoting these ideologies of communism and Marxism on campus? Was that even fathomable to you?
It was not fathomable because in America, unlike North Korea, you have a freedom of movement. So if you truly believe that you're oppressed, you can take a ticket and go to North Korea to a socialist state, right? Thank you. You don't have to cross the river or the Gobi Desert, unlike me, to find freedom. So that was confusing to me. Like, why these people feel so oppressed and hating this country so much and still here and not leaving? But then not only that, I realized how they became, in some sense, became worse than North Korea. So for instance, North Korea at least still knows what woman is. And Colombia, this supposedly one of the smartest kids in the whole world does not know what woman is. And the another part that really shocked me and reminded of North Korea is my professors were saying, math is racist. Math is made up by white people to control minority. And this is the exact same lesson I remember receiving from my teacher. Like my teacher in North Korea one day asked, what is 1 + 1? What's 1 + 1, guys? Awesome, you're smart. I said 2, and my teacher said, that's wrong. If you add 1 drop of water to another drop of water, what does it become? It becomes a bigger one. That's how Kim Jong-il proved that math is made up by white people to control minority. This nonsense was being taught in the 21st century in New York City, where there's a Wall Street, where they're supposed to know math. And that's when I thought the destruction began, that we are in a path to become like North Korea if we do not stop.
How long do you think America has before we can become a communist regime? Do you think that America can become a communist regime?
It totally can. I mean, this time, witnessing the indictment of President Trump, that really woke me up. How many institutions were captured by this evil ideology. Now, I cannot imagine he got indicted for that. Literally, I'm donating right now. Thank you, yeah. I never said this publicly. I think that was a really point for me, how quickly a country can slip away. And I think that was the last thing for me to realize we do not have that much time left.
I know in your new book, While Time Remains, you discuss the tyrannical differences between America, North Korea, and other regimes. What kind of hypocrisies do you see that are happening in America right now?
It's very similar, right? Like, can you guys believe that when I was in North Korea, I truly, genuinely believe that my dear leader Kim Jong-il, Kim Il-sung was starving just like us? Literally, somebody had to teach me that he was fat because I did not know how to think critically. Like, I was telling them, like, my dear leaders were starving. It's like, why are you talking about he is the fattest guy in North Korea? And I was like, what do you mean, right? Just like that, when I came to America, the American elite, like Hillary Clinton, or like Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, they say how they're oppressed. I'm like, you are the richest, most famous woman in the whole world. How are you oppressed because of your skin color, right? Just like that, American elite are also doing the reverse brainwashing to make us somehow believe that they are also part of this struggle. And that's what exactly North Korea, that the elite does. They say, we suffer for you guys, and you should be grateful for our sacrifice for you. And now I see the exact same rhetoric here.
Yeah. You know, we see a lot of corruption within our American government systems, indoctrination happening to our next generation. I know in this audience we have a lot of young women, high school, college students who fear cancel culture. You were a student at Columbia. How was cancel culture for you? And what advice do you have for these young girls to go out and speak truth, to be pro-capitalism, to be anti-communism, and to spread truth within their communities?
Oh, I think it's in a way, like being optimistic is like an irrelevant thing to me because doing the right thing is what's important, right? So I don't think about getting canceled or too much about it. I didn't speak out because I was like worrying about what the consequences. I just thought in North Korea, I did not have freedom to even whisper. The very first thing my mother told me was, don't even whisper. She said, even birds and mice can hear you. If I said the one wrong word, it was going to 3 to 8 generations of my family along with me. And now in America, don't think about the cancel culture. We have a voice still. We still have time to speak up. So, thank you.
I think that's so important because we have the freedom. We have our First Amendment. We have to uplift that and even amplify voices like yours. You're a mother. You have a son. And we've been talking a lot about public education. Do you think it's safe for us to send our generation to public schools funded by the government?
Oh, I think it comes down to self-government. It's the personal responsibility. If you do have to send your child to public school, I do hope you do the programming every night at home. I sent my son to a Catholic school. Even that, I'm paranoid. Like, hey, like, socialism sucks. Like, starting very early. And he complains about a lot of stuff. I was like, is that a really big deal? Did somebody take your freedom away? You don't know. So, and he's already questioning, like, Mommy, what's freedom? So, starting early at home.
Starting early at home. We see a lot of the Marxist and communist ideologies that are impacting our next generation and being funneled into these public schools. What do you think that we can do to have a more anti-communist rhetoric being put? I mean, I know at the schools that we both speak at, we will see communist clubs and Marxist clubs. What do you have to say to those people?
Oh, I mean, to them it's simple, like the door is open, go away. Like go to North Korea or Venezuela, right? But thank you. But to me, it's unbelievable. I think that was the only problem that I found with the capitalism. It creates so much prosperity. It solves so many problems for us that we don't have any problems anymore. And it becomes a problem when you don't have an actual problem. And now you have to create problems for yourself in your head and then finding oppressions out of nowhere. So, yeah, thank you.
As a mother and being able to raise your son here in America, the greatest country in the world, I don't think a lot of people know what life looks like in North Korea. What would motherhood look like in North Korea?
Oh, first of all, I've never seen a thing called a stroller. There's no such a thing called a formula. So a lot of North women are malnourished. They cannot make breast milk. And when that happens, of course, child just dies because there's no formula. So it's motherhood is not even a thing. Like literally, you have to work in the collective, farm until the moment you give birth, and right after baby's born, you have to work. When I come to America, they say like, "Oh, capitalism sucks. There's no maternity leave." Like, do you think it's in communism? There's no such a concept of even minor. Even at 5, I have to be working in the collective farm. Like North Korea. Everybody is a revolutionary. Everybody needs to work for the government for free. You don't get paid for it. And here, there's so much luxury of being a mother. Like I was pregnant, I go to my doctor's appointment, and my doctor does this thing called like, "Are you depressed? Are you feeling okay?" And I was like thinking, why she keep asking me this question? I was annoyed. And then I realized later there was something called postpartum depression. That's not a thing in North Korea. And also, by the way, menopause, puberty is not a thing. You don't get to act out during that time, right? And then the doctors keep asking me every time I go to doctors, like, now you're making me depressed. I did not even know that was an option to be depressed after childbirth. Now you keep reminding me I can be depressed after this. So that's when I realized like overdoing it too much. Like it's great that we have compassion, we want to take care of people, but then we also kind of reminding people you're not might be as strong as you are, right? Like most of people, like when I came to America writing my first book, they say, you have PTSD on me, you have to go see a therapist. And I was asking like, what's a therapist? You know, you don't have word for PTSD in North Korea. And they somehow like thinking, why are you smiling? Why are you so normal? They expected me almost like be a victim and not be a normal or capable person afterwards. So I do think we are in a little bit of overcorrection in that direction. We can come to a little bit middle, and humans are a lot stronger than we think. We can overcome so much. Thank you so much.
When did you realize that freedom actually existed? Because you grew up, you didn't really know what freedom was coming to America. So when did you realize that freedom actually existed here? And what was the biggest shock coming to America?
So freedom is actually a concept, a very radical concept. Human rights is also a radical invention of something. When you're born, we did not just born with rights or human rights, right? The Constitution is giving that rights to us. That's why the Constitution is so important document. But I also realized freedom can go away when we tear down the Constitution. Like a lot of people are fantasizing about it. And every day I'm aware of that, this vulnerability of being a free person, because it can be so quickly going away. And right now, currently, more than 70% of the world population are not free. Majority do not have voice. And when you are in this bubble of America, people think everybody has freedom, everybody has a voice. But that's not true. We are in a really unusual minority, and this is a very radical thing, to be free, to decide for yourself, to think for yourself.
Yeah, that's very insightful, yeah. And it really puts into perspective, you know, how, I hate the word privilege, but privilege that we are in America to be able to use our voices, and why it is so important for us to go into our communities. What do you have to say to the Americans who actively are working to destroy our country?
So this is where I really want to, like, I was wrong. I was also thinking the half of the country was determined to tear down this free nation, right? I was like, why are they doing this? I don't understand. But what eventually made me realize, after going to almost all the states in America, Americans are wonderful people. In some sense, you guys are too nice. That's why you're so insecure about who you are. I keep apologizing, you know, like being white is not a crime, obviously not. You should be so proud of who you are, what you have done for the humanity and our progress. But the people who are trying to destroy America are not the day-to-day American people, are the elites in the coast, like in San Francisco, in LA, in New York, in Washington, D.C. And even that, all New Yorkers are not bad. This American elite decide to divide Americans, because that means when people are divided, we are powerless. When we are powerless, they become powerful. That's how they can rule, and that's how they become dictators. Thank you. So I love American people. We should never divide our country. This is the greatest nation on earth. And what we need to recognize, the elite, that taking advantage of our vulnerability and making us going against each other. And we need to recognize that elite. And that is our enemy, not the people.
Absolutely. You know, it's divided we fall, united we stand, and we have to continue to be united and standing. If there was one thing that you could just voice to the North Korean women, if you could just send one message to North Korea, unfiltered, what would it be?
I love them, because in my life, entire time, nobody told me they loved me, because love is not a thing that North Koreans are allowed to learn. And I came here to free country, and I thought about what's the meaning of life, and it ultimately comes down to love. That's why Jesus Christ died for love, for us, right? Thank you. Thank you. It is the biggest crime against humanity when you deny love, that very basic love. And North Koreans have been deprived of that love for 80 years. So I want them to know that we love them. And I love you guys, so thank you so much. Thank you. I think we're done with time. You're wonderful.
Thank you so much, Yeonmi, for coming and sharing your story and just talking about how we really need to unite as a country. You are such an inspiration, and if you guys have not read her book, you need to go pick up a copy.
Thank you. And you're all my sisters now. Thank you so much, everyone. I love you. I love you so much.